So we will, thank you, Jesse.
Got to start over from the beginning.
Does anybody have Brad's phone
Yeah.
number?
Call Brad back. Yeah, actually, it wasn't breaking up before when he was talking though, so
That's interesting.
I don't think so. Do you think so, Jesse?
No, it had definitely started after.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see how this goes. Thanks for bringing it to attention and patience and all that. So,
Finishing the trail.
yeah, Kate was mentioning, so anyway, our recreational trail easement agreement with NYSEG is now with the Public Service Commission. And I think it's like May 24th is the 90-day period. And if they don't say anything by then, it's approved.
Yeah.
Or if they send a letter before then and say it's approved, it's approved. But that's kind of
When you say approved, that it becomes the town's.
Right.
that the recreational easement agreement is in effect. And that we will have those rights on NYSEG property for a recreation, to build a recreational trail. But that's exciting.
It's exciting.
You want to tell me the other part of the meeting?
Right, so there's this grant that's due in a month that I'm trying to get together. So, called
And
Fernando
Kate volunteered to do
and
it.
said, hell. So
Is this a state grant or a
it is a
federal
state
grant?
grant. It is for Parks and Recreation. And I need a lot of information that I don't have, so it may be that we're trying to figure out the scope of what we can handle. At the very least, we'll get a section of it together.
Of the application.
Well,
Oh, I see. what you
of
mean.
of the
Okay,
trail,
yeah,
so if I
You're-
can't get the numbers I need for the whole thing.
you're figuring out what can be.
So
combined.
is this for design?
It has to be for some construction. It can be partly for design, but also has to have construction, and I have to have construction numbers. That's where I'm.
And don't we have to have design before we have construction?
But that's part of it.
That's, I'm gonna walk with Fernando, talked with, Ray, at Dryden, Ray Berger, who's been involved with the trail there. Fernando said after we walk it, we could try to get some numbers from the Black Diamond, like how much should it cost for them to put this size bridge in, and that's, things like that, or how much it is just crushed stone on it, in parts that are good, so. We'll see how far we get. I can use a lot of the grant I wrote last year for a small section on public input and support and things like that. So that's already written.
So I guess a question that I have, just thinking about this, the implications of all this. I suppose we couldn't start, we probably have to start at the Ithaca Danby end, right?
I don't think we have to,
Because maybe it would be easier to start at the other end.
or we might be able to
Where
do,
there's less
Well, I think Kate,
ravines.
that Kate, yeah, we did discuss the parts that are pretty much together, which are the
Yeah,
two ends.
so it's 90% and the 10% can be in matching. So, matching, funds, but also volunteer work, things like this, using equipment that we own if we needed to, and then that counts as a rental cost. So there's different ways to do that. We still would have the 39,000 from the county, but also go towards this. So see how that gives me something to do this month.
well, you have good luck with grants, so.
Well, I didn't get the last one.
Thank you for volunteering, and you saw Mike did find the
Oh, did he?
grant. He sent it to us today.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
he said it was
I see,
really easy
okay.
to find. It was
Oh,
digital.
that's fine. So George France wrote the recreational grant for the existing South Hill Recreation Way, and that's why it's Recreation Way and it's not a multi-use trail. It was a park. It is a park. It's a park. So that is what we'd be looking at.
So is that like, because you mentioned that the other day, is that an important distinction somehow?
I don't think so, really. Other than it's just that's why it's named that. That's how I
Oh,
remembered it was not
see,
transport. Yeah, part of it's a concept. I mean, you could have obviously you can have bikes in a park, right? But when we were talking about the trail years ago, a lot of people felt it was a park and not a transportation. So it's both, but it's just a different focus, so. Yeah. The Safe Streets for All. I don't have my computer with me, I'm sorry about that. Is setting up a public meeting, and I've got an email for that, and that should go out on the listserv. I believe it's April 13th or 14th, and I can't remember. I have to look for it. So they're gonna have a public meeting about the Safe Streets for All plan and what's in it, so.
So you told me something about Thomas Road being included somehow.
Thomas Road, so there are a number of places that are listed as systemic problems across the town, and that is listed. That place, I had a meeting with specifically about Caroline with the Safe Streets for All planners. They said it was in there, that section of Thomas Road is listed as a problematic place. So
They came up with that independently from you talking to them? I'm just
I
asking.
believe so. I think it was already there. I said, is it there? And they said they thought it was, they were gonna check, and if it wasn't, they put it on, but then they said, no, it was there. So, I also listened, I was in a webinar on, funding from the state on highways. A lot of funding right now on making roads safer. And there's 4 more webinars coming up this month on that, and how to write a grant and access this money. It is very roads focused, like guardrails, shoulders, things like this. But also the signs that say how fast you're going, the little ones that go up over the speed limit. And I found out those cost $5,000 each. So that might be a funding source for things like something like that. I'm gonna talk to Bobby about it. See if he'll go to some of the webinars with me. Right up his alley, roads.
Okay.
Something like that.
Great. Thank you, Kate.
Ag committee,
Sure.
we were supposed to have most recent thing was, but we were gonna have a potluck and it was gonna be at my house.
Oh, it didn't happen?
It did not. My dog got sick, and so we had to cancel,
Oh,
unfortunately. So the next meeting's coming up. Yeah, what?
no, that's one of my question was. Go ahead. Is the next regular?
I think it's the next regular meeting. I think it's the 3rd Thursday. And just really quickly, there's a couple things on email that I've shared. One is, it's not really necessarily part of a committee. But I'll share it now. So I got a little bit of feedback about the green building certification.
Hmm.
And I forget his name, over at the assessors at the county.
Jay,
Um,
or David?
David, I think, clarified that if we wanted to not have lead for home certification as the thing that's in the law, because that's the default for the county, that we do have to come up with one and vet it through the county, but then call it out in our law that this is the one that we prefer or the one that we are supporting or whatever. So, and the reason I wanted to go down that road is because the lead for homes is not really accessible for our applicable to our town. But there are other green building certifications that are, and there's at least 1 or 2 that are very easily associated with the building code officer for a town. So that the building code officer doesn't have to learn that much more or do that much more work to include it in their regular work. Whereas the lead for homes one is way too complicated for most, and there's lots of training and support for building code officer. And so if that was ever something we wanted to look more into and establish in the law, and then make something a building code officer can support, if someone wanted to do that, and they'll have it in their toolbox it's Bob, right? Have it in his toolbox if people are asking about green building. Or if someone comes to you and asks about green building in the town, it's an easy thing to say, yeah, we have this.
So I might have said this, we've had this discussion before, right? So,
Right, but now it's official that I was asking the county what we need to do, and what we need
Right.
to do is.
I'm just warning you, I might be repeating myself, but we have had at least twice, I know once with Brooke, and I think once with one other code officer about the possibility of adopting the stretch code. That sounds similar to what this is, so it's,
I think it would be good to sit down with Bob to talk about this.
yeah.
Sure, I mean, there's, I think two things, there's the code stuff, like a stretch code, or even. What Ithic is doing, where they're doing a green building code. That's another layer in terms of the code officer. This is actually more specifically, they could be associated, but this is more specifically a law that is already, would update the law that we've already agreed to.
Right, the tax
As the
exemption
town, the
law.
tax exemption law, so
Right.
that's, but yeah, it sounds like a conversation that we can have with Bob. The other thing was. I unfortunately couldn't attend, or I had a conflict, but I know a few people in the town went to the Ag Summit. With this, there was very specifically about agrivoltaics,
I
and
know,
I'm bummed that I missed it.
I can't believe.
But there are a couple people that did go, and I haven't followed up yet, but I can get up a report if you're interested. And maybe we can form the report in the ag committee and then bring that to the.
Sure,
Since it
That'd be
is related to that, and then bring it to the full board, but,
Bruce Murray did stop in the town hall, he did attend, and he just said he thought it was good, and he had some notes and, so. I don't know if you're gonna link up with him, but,
him, and then there was one other person I noticed that, someone mentioned it as well. But anyway,
Caroline.
yeah, someone maybe from the EIC or something. Or no, it was in the email string when you posted the summit
Oh,
information, someone said I'm going, so I have to go back and look at that. I don't think it was Bill.
well, yeah, I'm
Someone else
interested
went.
in, he said there were they presented three options for agrivoltaics, so I mean, I'm really interested to know what about, so. Cool, yeah.
And that's it.
If there, and, oh yeah, that was all in person, right? So it's not like,
Yeah, there's no
There's no
videos or
recording.
recording or anything, unfortunately, no.
also, Bruce said, I think a lot of the folks from Cooperative Extension were there. I think Monica was there.
Yeah.
So. They'd be.
My boss,
Yeah,
Graham, was there
yeah,
too.
okay,
I just haven't had time to talk to him about it.
okay,
Oh, and Guillermo, I mean, he was a presenter. And I've been engaging with Guillermo about, helping us come up with a agrivoltaic law for the town. So maybe he's the first person I should talk to.
yeah, that'd be great. Great. Anything else?
Oh.
Michelle?
Yeah, I have a report about the planning board.
Okay. You don't have a report, or you do?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, shoot,
Are you ready? Oh, okay.
we're all ready.
Let me see. I probably should have given this last time. Well, anyway, so they met March 17th. And there were representatives from the Ag Committee there, Erica Frenet, somebody from CCE, Crystal, somebody, I didn't get her name.
Crystal Buck.
Okay, Crystal Buck, and then Brad was there. They mentioned solar voltaics, but I just have it on my notes that they mentioned it, so I think maybe that's something that's gotta need some
Okay.
exploration. They talked about the right to farm law, whether that should be updated, and they said that hasn't been discussed with the rest of the Ag Committee yet. So mainly they talked about farmland protection and the different ways that you might do that, like buying development rights. So anyway, there's like 4 different ways to protect um farmland. I don't know if you want me to go through all that or not.
Whatever you'd like. What, it's
Well,
your,
I'll just say the notes I have are one is getting a conservation easement. One is donation of conservation. One is like using state funds. You can purchase development rights. And I have preemptive purchase rights. Another one is donation of conservation easements. Another one is a tax incentive for term easements. I'm not 100% sure what all this means. I guess Danby's been very successful at some of these techniques for getting development rights. And then another one is a lease of development rights. And the town would have to do that. So I'm afraid that's all I can tell you about those. We would
Okay.
have to have a more in-depth discussion about that.
yeah. Yeah, something to dig into, or if, I don't know, is that
The
something?
Ag Committee could dig
The
into.
planning board or
Yeah.
he's gonna work on that?
But they didn't
Yeah.
talk about it. They were just, I think this to me sounds more like an ag committee thing.
Yeah.
To do.
I-
And then there was a discussion about what areas of zoning and subdivision laws sort of duplicate the current mobile home law. And so they're going to do some, members of the planning board are doing research into that.
Really? Okay, interesting.
Because there is some overlap apparently. So some of the things brought up in the mobile home law are actually covered in subdivision and zoning.
So it may be made skinnier or something.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then Brad mentioned possibly joining the planning board, so.
thank you.
So that's just a quick summary. And so the next meeting is April 22nd,
Okay,
which is after our second meeting of the month. So I guess in May, I'll give you a summary of that.
what day of the week is that? When does planning board meet? It's a Tuesday, right?
A Tuesday, yeah.
Third Tuesday or something? No,
I don't think it's that regular. I mean, it's that, but that does turn out, the 22nd is the third Tuesday. And I just have a question that's kind of directed at you, Mark, I think. Was today supposed to be a meeting of the disaster planning thing, the county? One,
I don't know. I'm not aware of that. I might have,
I think I saw that it was Monday, maybe? I
was it Monday?
think it was this week and I missed it. I wanted to go and I missed it
oh, really? This was the one with
with Jess.
Jess?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really too bad. Wow, okay.
'Cause I couldn't do it either.
But what I couldn't tell, I don't know if they're in the part, because
Right.
I read through the slides, I don't know if they're in the part for municipalities yet,
Yeah, probably not.
which is like the most important part.
Yeah,
I think that part's like towards the end, actually, but
That was my sense.
yeah.
and are they holding the meetings at DOER and by Zoom, or how does it work?
Well, definitely by Zoom. I don't know if, I mean, the one I went, the first one was, I thought everybody was on Zoom.
Okay. Okay, well, maybe that's what they're doing. Great.
Yeah, I guess because I think you're the only person that's on the list for like, I'm not getting these things.
I don't remember getting a notice for that, but I could have missed it, so.
It was in this thing that you sent.
That I
that you
forwarded.
Yeah. Because I thought the next meeting, according to my notes, the next meeting was supposed to be March 25th. And then I saw in that thing you forwarded that it was, I guess I thought it was April 1st, but what day was that? Yesterday.
Yep, yesterday.
Yeah,
I thought the thing said April 1st, but I could be wrong. That's just my memory of it. I'm having kind of a really busy week, so.
we should try to connect with that
Yeah,
effort. That'd be great, so, I'll keep an eye out for the next announcement and
okay,
make sure that one of us gets there.
yeah.
Great, thank you. Shall we move on to our business items?
Sure.
You ready for that?
Yep.
I mean, I guess one thing I will say is, since Michelle just alluded to it, and I am thinking of, considering not modifications to the subdivision review law. And I think there are some, at least procedural modifications we can make that might be good, that now that we've worked with it a little bit, so I don't know if people have objections or thoughts or think that's a good idea, or
I'd be interested to hear what you
Hear
feel
what
it needs,
they are, yeah.
if you'd like, I mean.
I mean, they're pretty minor, but they would be helpful, I think.
Yeah.
Just depends on how complicated it is
Mhm.
to pass the new law.
I don't think it's that big a deal, yeah, I mean, and we're getting well trained.
Yep.
So, I mean, for example, when we deliberated and, you know, got advice, we decided to have the review board be the review agency for everything, including lot line adjustments.
Right, remember that.
And so, I think at a minimum, one thing that I would like to consider is, having that responsibility transferred to maybe the code officer. Or, well, I think Bill, an idea Bill Padoka had, it could be the code officer in combination with the review board chair or something like that, but
Okay, yeah, because I thought we discussed that, like, why we didn't want this to be the code officer.
we did.
And to have more balance and because of communication difficulties.
What do other towns do?
Everything. It's everything.
I
So-
don't like to reinvent wheels. It seems like there should be a standard practice.
It does, and it's all over the place. So, but what we did, I mean, what we adopted was by New York State town law. We followed New York State town law and the advice of our planner and our attorney. So,
And I missed it. Why are you trying to, what are your thoughts about rethinking it?
I guess, well, feedback from from the review board and the review board chair. He thinks it's, you know,
An unnecessary step.
he thinks it's still.
Have the review board chair and the zoning board person. Not the zoning, sorry, the review board chair and the codes officer would do it together. I would feel more comfortable with that.
Anyway, I'm not asking for a decision now, I'm just saying why,
Yeah.
these are the kinds of things that I'm thinking of where we might wanna,
Well,
so maybe we don't.
I know,
So
no, I
that's
mean,
fair.
I think we want to keep it up to date. I mean, we did
Yeah,
that workshop about, you know, keeping
Mhm.
zoning law up to date, keeping subdivision up to date, you know, when there are little problems like that, we can tweak it instead
Yeah.
of waiting till it all piles up and
Yeah.
having it be a big job.
I mean, in a way, I'd rather wait
Yeah,
a year into the
process.
process to see what
Get some
else
data.
might come up. I mean, we're basing all of this basically on 2 cases.
It's been how long has it been since the, since this place? Subdivision?
Oh, it was just last fall, right?
October.
Yeah.
Right,
but
if
it
only,
hasn't
if you're
been
saying
that
there's
long.
only been 2, that's not enough data points to decide whether it works or not.
There's actually been more than
Oh,
2,
two.
but,
Well, of the lot line adjustments, I mean,
yeah. So, anyway.
Or maybe we could take it up in the fall. That seems far away,
Yeah.
but after a year.
That's a good response if someone asks why we do it that way, is this, we just want a year's data, we can't decide on a half year's data.
Oh, yeah, I mean, so I think that's fair. I think
Yeah.
it's fair to say, you know, we want to give it more time and then we'll, so that's understood, so.
Can I make a comment? Sorry, just as the
Yes.
clerk, as the clerk of the review board, I just want board members to keep in mind that just try to be respectful of other volunteers and other committees that are bringing certain points forward that they think process could be easier or done in a better way, just to be mindful of that while you're considering some of these modifications to some of these laws.
Yep.
I don't
Yeah.
believe one way is right or wrong per se. I think that it's important to listen to, some of these processes that could be easier both on the review board and the applicants. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, Jesse, that's a good point. And then the question I have then is could the review board chair propose a suggestion? I mean,
I think what we want to do is solicit from the review board, not the chair, but from the review board itself to say, you know, do you want to? But we did that before.
There has been quite a bit of back channel communication about some of this,
Well, yeah, or direct, yeah,
or direct.
so.
and the reason I bring that up is because I want to respect what Jesse's point is, but I also feel like it's one thing to have an opinion or a proposal, but then it doesn't help us if we don't know what's easy or more efficient if we don't have a plan for changing it. It's not up to us. If someone's suggesting something, not up to us to figure out what the change should be, is if they have the suggestion. I mean, can't read their mind. Just, it would be nice to have a proposal to work off of rather than just, it should be better,
Mhm.
right? Or it should be more efficient.
Well, I think there have been proposals.
Well, I haven't seen them.
Right, well, the one that I mentioned earlier is like the code officer reviews lot line adjustments. That,
What is that? But to address what Jesse's saying, is that the proposal
that's not,
that the volunteer has proposed?
yeah,
Okay.
But, can I say something?
of course.
Well, that sounds like you're just taking it from one person and giving it to the other. It's like one person says, I don't feel like doing it, so make this other person do it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because Bob is paid and the volunteer is
Yeah.
not.
Yeah,
That
but
makes
Bob's
sense to
only
me.
paid for a certain amount of hours.
He
only works half-time, right?
if it was an issue of the person, that certainly makes sense. But our original deliberation was that it makes sense for a board to do this rather than, I think the concern is, or the observation is, that a lot line adjustment is a very simple change between two adjacent parcels on agreement of the two landowners. And
Which I've done one myself before all this, and it went fine. It was easy.
I think that's the reason.
Yeah.
And it's, I understand, so.
Well, I guess my question is, how much time does it take? Then if it's easy, why can't the board do it?
I mean, I can see where there could be, it puts a volunteer in a position where landowners, I can see that the situation where landowners would struggle potentially over a lot line. And putting them in that position is hard. Whereas if you have a paid staff where that's different, or if it's
Well,
the town.
I mean, my opinion about this, simple lot lines are simple lot lines. If there are disputes about a lot line, it should go to the review board anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a different category. But
yeah,
I think that maybe what we should do is,
we got a lot, just to I've never heard of a lot line where, you know, like, it's gotta be a mutual agreement.
Yeah, it has to be mutual.
You know, nobody, you know, force a lot line on a neighbor, so.
So a lot line adjustment is when you have two properties. And let's say for maybe the sake of building a septic system. That there isn't enough land on one property. And it would help them to move their property over 10 feet. And the neighbor agrees to do that. That's a lot line adjustment.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah, thank you, Tim. Yeah, so.
Is it in the job description of the volunteer board? To be the.
Yeah.
The entity that the word you used, Tim.
They review the subdivision law.
But if there's a challenge or
Unhappiness?
unhappiness, like. Or you used a word, I can't remember what it was. Dispute, is it their responsibility for to deal with a dispute? Or a challenge or
Well, you know, overall, they have a lot of things to consider, so they consider subdivisions. They consider any of this, there could well be a member of the public who could dispute that, so in essence, it is their
so they're
responsibility to adjudicate that.
right. What you sign up for if you're gonna be on board, I guess.
Yeah,
Well, that's why I think it's worth waiting a year and seeing how many times has this happened? Like how onerous is this? If it's happened twice, I guess I don't understand what the big deal is.
I think the thinking is that if the applicant could just do this in a visit to the code office instead of a scheduled meeting with the review board.
Yep.
Is that what you?
I think that's one of the concerns.
Yeah.
Or considerations.
If it's between two people though, don't both people have to meet with the?
Oh, that's a
would
good point.
both people- Both people have to meet with the code officer or review board?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm trying to think how they handle.
Well, one of the lot line adjustments that I think that was under consideration was land being adjusted, as I recall, on the same person's property. So that's different. In other words, if they might have had two parcels that they owned that were adjacent.
Oh, is that right?
I think one of them was something like that.
All right.
I don't remember a second landowner being involved.
I don't either for
So I
that.
think it was that.
In my case, this was before the zoning and stuff. I went to the county to change it. Like I talked to the other owner of the other land and I said, here's my question or my thoughts. This is where I want it based on where I thought it should be. And then we both agreed that we'd go to the county to check their historical maps. And the county came back with their information, and then we had to both agree because that's what the county had.
Really?
Yep. But does the
Well,
county?
that sounds like that's sort of determining the correct lot line.
Right. But
I
this is
think
an
lot line-
adjustment.
I thought a lot line adjustment is an agreement like, hey, I'll give you like 20 feet off this one piece for,
Yeah.
you're changing it. You're actually agreeing to change it, not establishing what the correct one is.
Must be, yeah. But I am really scratching my head because we've had several lot line adjustments and
We'll have to look.
yeah, I have to look into that. I'm very
All right.
curious. There's gotta be something, a reason.
I mean, I think Mark brought this up because this is something that we have been discussing.
Yeah.
In relationship, in response to feedback from
The
the review board.
Yeah.
Right, and with the code officer, and so. I mean, the question would be if we were gonna make changes, when would be the appropriate best time to consider making changes, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to get into the
No,
weeds about what the
we don't.
changes would be at this point.
I have one question though. Is it something where we have to bring it to the board and make a law change? Like,
Yeah.
what's, okay, so it's not like they can try it
No,
in 3 months, and if it doesn't work, go back to the old way or something, it has to
Yeah.
be,
and it requires a public hearing. blah,
oh,
blah, blah,
wow,
blah.
okay, that's a
Yeah,
big
it's just
deal,
like-
yeah,
It's just like.
like
a
a-
law. Yeah. So,
okay,
and you know, you can see there's a reason for that, right?
yeah,
It's a
totally.
new law, so.
I think it should be in effect, the law should be in effect for a year before we make changes.
Okay,
That's just my opinion. I'm, obviously no expert, but
well, I guess. Yeah, my thought is to, maybe talk with, and that, I see the rationale for that, so.
Do you wanna vote on that? Cause it seems like, no,
I don't think it's,
It's a discussion.
okay.
yeah.
Well, but it would make sense for you to go back to the review board and say, this is what the board discussed, we think that we wanna try it for a year.
I can just tell them that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That we're probably gonna consider. I mean, I haven't said that we're gonna, change it now or anything, but I guess we'll. Keep your eyes open and take notes and, provide us feedback and all, we may open things up and look at it, so.
Sounds good to me.
can I ask one more question?
You may,
Well, how does, and you can tell me if you don't think it's appropriate to answer this question. How does the code officer feel about it?
I'd want to ask him again, but I'm pretty sure he would say that. He would be in favor of that, of simplifying it that way.
Okay. I mean, that would carry a lot of weight for me.
One of the advantages that we have with the current code officer is he's been very agreeable about assisting the review board with the organization of its materials for the meetings
Mhm.
and lining everything up and basically walking them through stuff.
I'll get his
So
stuff ready.
probably he'd be amenable to that, is my hunch,
Yeah, but he's,
but we need to talk to him.
Maybe we have to think about giving him a raise.
Well, he's,
I'm exhausted.
Okay,
Um,
I'm in the meeting.
I was half kidding there, half kidding.
um, he is great to have, so, yeah. I sort of brought that up out of the blue, so I brought that on, but it's something we should talk about
Mhm.
further if people have thoughts about it, so. It's not improper at all. Okay, so
Committee reports?
do we have any more? I think we're done with those. So I'm gonna move on to the resolution to award, the contract for 6 Mile Creek at Banks Road. The maintenance project there.
Mhm.
And so I wrote the resolution to award it to JB's Excavation. We did tee a similar resolution up in the fall, shortly after this, and sort of held off thinking about, what the town, what would be the liability, the responsibility of the town financially. So Tim and I met with, John and Angel from Soil and Water, and, so we came up, the things to consider, there were 3 parts of the project. There was the base part and there were 2 electives. So, I think based on perceived functionality of the different aspects, that the key thing that needs to be done is the restructuring of the rocks, upstream rock structure. I'm proposing to, I'm looking at the wording here, excuse me.
On the other side.
Yeah, okay. So the town board hereby awards the contract for this project to JB's Excavation for the base bid items with the town of Caroline cost share of 11,900, which is about a 1/3 share of the project. So the other share is gonna be from the city of Ithaca and the other 1/3 from Soil and Water.
When we met with Soil and Water, and we also, so we had a separate meeting with them. And then we also did a site visit with them as well, and one of the considerations from their end was in relationship to electives 1 and 2, the additional electives. What else they were prepared to support financially based upon other pressure points that they had in their portfolio for this year's budget. And so they're very comfortable and thought we should do the base bid for sure.
Mhm.
And then there's the additional consideration would be perhaps on site then doing some additional grading on top of that,
Right, and so.
if it were appropriate.
Yeah. And so if those things happen, those will be change orders.
Right.
And so we would have to consider, and we haven't really clarified that because
Right.
it sounds like soil, so that would be probably a town responsibility. So we would just have to, I think, see what the cost would be and if we're willing to do that. So.
Question? Out of all these items and electives, would the total of 94,000 from JB Excavation actually be the best option? Just trying to think about if money wasn't an object, what is the best both structurally and ecologically?
Well, I mean, Barton and the Woodis would say yes. If money's no object, then base bid plus electives 1 and 2 would be the best. The observations that John and Angel made out there that caught my attention were, one of them was, so I don't know if I can just describe this well, but as the stream moves down towards Banks Road, it kind of, it has come out to the left and made a gravel bar and it split a little bit, so it's kind of, and then it bends around this way and goes to the bridge under Banks Road. So the regrading is there to move that back over to the right. But what they said was that happened. The stream did that shortly after the repair back in like 2011, 12.
Huh.
And it stayed stable since then. So to me, that's like the stream is telling us
Leave it the way it is.
this is what we're supposed to do. So that, I mean, that, I don't know about you, Tim, but that caught my attention when they said that.
So the reconstruct in-stream rock structure
That's,
doesn't deal with fixing that
no,
back to where it was.
No,
So what
it-
does it actually
it's
do?
upstream, it's not close to that.
There's a rock structure upstream.
There's a rock structure upstream that got displaced, and now it's going to be, those rocks are gonna be used to rebuild a rock structure, but a different rock structure further upstream. And
Oh, okay.
so the
Well,
engineering analysis is that this will,
What's fascinating though is that that's stabilized along with the downstream bar.
yeah,
So if you're gonna move anything upstream, it is gonna change stuff downstream. So I wonder if they are considering that at all.
well, the problem, the rock structures are built into the stream to work in a particular way, right? And so it's not doing that at all now. I mean, the rocks just went topsy-turvy. So, I get your point that whatever's going on upstream affects what goes, no matter what you do, but hopefully, I mean, I'm sure the engineering thinking was that, properly redesigning this upstream rock structure will calm the energy of the stream.
And so they're thinking based on observation before the original work, and since it happened, and this all happened, Jonathan, because there was a massive flood incident and the road washed out. Went underneath the road and the road caved in. So their feeling is that that is all stabilized. They're not particularly worried about that happening unless it was a 110-year flood. But what they're trying to do in, say, a 50 to 70-year flood
Mhm.
is organize things so there won't be further serious erosion along that wall. And it all seemed very reasonable.
Yeah, yeah, that was the other part of the discussion, that like, it's a balance, right? About how much are you gonna spend now? At some point, there's gonna be a flood that goes over Banks Road, and the road's gonna have to be rebuilt.
Okay,
It's just because it's there, so,
It's in a flood zone.
and so we, so anyway, I felt like this was a good balance based on what I could see there. There's a really, as you probably are very familiar with, there's off to the left side there's a very wide floodplain there. So, yeah, I felt good about it.
And I think if soil and water had been concerned, they would have opted to share costs on option 2,
Right,
which is why he went down to evaluate the situation.
yeah. That's right. I agree with that. So it may be though that, I mean, because Angel was saying, well, maybe Jeff will like move this rock and do additional work. So that may be the cost share or the change order that we may need to consider, but I'm actually hoping not.
Yeah.
That Jeff, he's a great guy and just go in there and get stuff done. I think it'll be fun. He did all the work on Buffalo Road for that great project. Now, like almost 10 years ago. Great. I don't know if I got a second on that.
I'll second it.
Second by Tim. So are we ready? Are you guys comfortable with this, Roach? With this?
yeah, I am. I think it's, it's a step, we can see what goes. I mean,
I'm not an engineer.
Yeah, we have to rely on them, right?
Right, we do.
So, okay. Great, thank you. I'm gonna call for a vote. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Great, thank you. Oh, and now I guess I will offer the establishing standard workday and reporting records of activity for pay rates and for elected and appointed officials. I copied that title from somewhere. It's kind of an ugly one. But anyway, I offer this resolution. It says it's data requested from the retirement system for their calculations for days worked for retirement payments.
They really
As I
wanted it 2
understand.
digits out.
Say what?
They really wanted point XX out. They wanted.
I think they wanted
round
it,
up.
I think they want it to hundreds. I think I
That's
did that
hilarious.
right.
19, okay. 0.79 days, what is this? Anyway. Okay,
I would like to see the month where the supervisor has actually worked only 19.79 days.
Well, what I did is, so I had a work record from 2017, and that's how it came out. And I collected about 2 months of data recently, and then I extrapolated, and it came out amazingly similar. So they have a form you can certify that your responsibilities haven't changed that much, so.
I'm just trying to make you feel good.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
Jesse, were you going to say something?
No, I was gonna say I had the same question.
Okay,
as,
What's your, what's your question, Michelle?
I had the same question that Tim had about, when does it ever happen that you work that number of hours, but
Oh,
okay.
I have a question about the other folks too. I understand how we need to kind of resolve this, say yes, vote on it, but was there a chance for the clerk, the highway superintendent, and the town justice to engage with us at all, just because it is their retirement?
well, they provided the records
Okay.
for these numbers.
I didn't know where it came from.
So I sent you guys the records of activity. And just reading the retirement system website, the town board is supposed to review those work records, right? So kind of like you were just doing for mine. But this is, for mine, for instance, this is saying I work about 20 days a month, which is a 5-day week at 6 hours. So that seems not unreasonable.
Yeah.
So,
Have you made this resolution? We've been discussing it, but did you actually present the resolution yet? To get a second?
I don't think I have.
don't think
I mean, I kind of, yeah, I guess should I do that? So I'll offer this resolution. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thanks, Kate. So further discussion.
Move the motion.
So I mean, I'll just point out that if you work if you work 5 days a week, that's 20 days a month. So it's.
Should we vote?
Okay,
Yes,
no further questions? Okay.
no further questions for me.
Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes of March 19th, does anybody have comments on those or
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
hereby approved? So the business meeting will be on the 16th. Do we have agenda items for the 16th?
Probably it would be good to get a broadband update. This,
Okay. I will be putting stuff like that in my notes, so that'd be good.
maybe even in your report,
Yeah.
when's that grant due?
May
Grant,
2nd.
May 2nd. So the,
I mean, probably we should at least do a resolution to authorize you to submit the
idea.
grant.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
okay,
Do you think it would be possible? That's 2 weeks from now. You think you'll be able to have a rough draft by then? That's pretty fast, right? That's half the time.
When's the first meeting? in May?
yeah. I need to start putting together the pieces I know about, that I can,
When's the grants due?
May
2nd.
2nd.
Yeah, the first meeting in May isn't until the 7th.
Right, so we need to do that next time.
Good.
Well, I think at least in principle, we can
Oh,
do a
yeah.
resolution to
Yeah.
authorize you
A-
to move
Absolutely,
forward.
absolutely. I was just thinking, if you had that goal,
Yeah,
but I know it's super, that's tight. I don't know, but I don't know how much, like, George's grant is gonna help
I
you.
can- exactly. I've got a bunch of my notes. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
can I just, I talked to Ray about costs today. He's gonna get back to me on, places where it's already, still intact. And, I don't know, Fernando seemed pretty hopeful that we could like
Yes,
walk it, get some measurements, find out how much it costs for a 200-foot bridge or, whatever, just look stuff in.
when are you walking? Next few days?
Wednesday morning, 8:30 at meeting.
Next Wednesday, okay.
People can join us. Hopefully it won't be like 37 degrees and raining, so could be 7 degrees like tomorrow I think it's supposed to be 70, yeah, it's crazy.
And super windy.
So, yeah, I've got a lot of walking to get in the next few days, so. I think what we'll end up doing is just. There are parts we could actually just drive along next to, past the gravel pit, right? It goes right along Lackawanna Road. And, yeah. And as I said, I mean, I'm leaving open the option of, doing sections that I can actually get. If I get information on sections, I'll do sections. If I get information on the whole thing, I'll do the whole thing. Right. The wetland thing, I think, is tricky, where it goes through a wetland, but maybe not. Anyway, I'll be calling you about some details that I need.
But those kinds of things, I mean, that's what the grant will,
We have. to
you'll
have
get
some
the expertise to
construction in
do
it.
that. You don't have to do it, right?
Well, that's where I can't do a secret for wetlands and write this.
Oh.
I mean, so
No, I mean,
that's,
So what, you're just getting descriptions to put in the grant for different sections?
yeah, I'm trying to understand, and I've called the contact with the, New York State Parks, Angela Marsh. I left a message today because what I don't understand is like, how much construction, can it be like planning for the whole thing and constructing one section, right? That would make sense to me
Yeah.
at this point. And then later trying to get money for the other
Okay, so you
construction.
did talk to her?
I left a message
Oh,
and she
okay.
has not called me back yet. But I think that's the direction I'm
Do you know
going.
how much money we're talking about?
Well, more than that too.
There's millions available. I can't remember. I think
I mean, there must be a limit for what you can.
Right.
right, hold on. Sorry, I don't have my phone. I didn't have time to get my computer. I'll put out the information. I'll put out an email about it. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we just don't want to get into a situation where we're over our heads.
No,
trying
exactly,
to get something done.
exactly, and
We
it is
have broadband
reimbursable,
going on,
right?
I mean, this is,
Yeah,
we're really almost over our heads
right,
now.
right. So
It's an opportunity.
it is an opportunity,
Yeah.
but again, we'd have to pay out and get reimbursed, right?
Right, that's not
And-
good.
And it
Yeah.
flat out says it does not cover bonds, setup or interest. I am looking at this stuff carefully, so. But if we can get. If 90% of it's a plan, right, and then 10% of the money is construction, that might work, I know, so that's. I mean, I wish we could just get a detailed plan written,
I guess it'll just depend on how much the grant is for
right,
and how much we'd have to front,
so.
because we're really maxed out.
Yeah.
Lemonade stand
Yeah,
on the trail and sell
Uh,
lemonade.
park.
We can't do that.
Municipality.
Marijuana stand.
There you go.
We can only raise money through taxes.
Municipal Parks and Recreational Grant Program. It's
I
now
could run it and
open.
donate it to the town.
We're eligible for program summary.
Anyway,
Available from
We
there.
also have the highway barn. in
The
our.
maximum grant award is $1 million. I don't see minimum.
They pay for all of it and it's not reimbursable.
Um,
well.
Anyway.
No, if it's New York, it's reimbursable.
project applications up to
think it's
$10 million. No,
Next week.
2 weeks.
that's not right. That's, anyway, $1 million, dollars.
Is there anybody who needs?
There are
to come
2
help
rounds,
with?
so that, I gotta get back, I gotta
I had
get to the weeds on
suggested
this
the
thing and
youth
see how it
people,
works.
but,
Did we get?
We're
somebody
trying
on the
to
youth
extend the
commission?
South Hill Recreation Way down through the town
a
of
rep.
Carolina.
A rep? Did we get a rep?
So, yeah,
I can get somebody from either the rec partnership or the joint youth commission to come talk with Rick Alford or,
I mean, would that be helpful or would that just be a waste of their time? Would
Yeah.
that be helpful to us
I
or
mean,
that's a waste
so-
of their time?
I think I forwarded you the email with the documents, they are nice because they show like Caroline participation and stuff. So, you know, that's probably not
I
necessary.
don't think it's necessary.
I agree. Okay. Well, if you think of stuff,
Is
rattle
it,
my cage.
now that Guillermo was part of this agrivoltaic summit, I had already talked to him about coming and presenting something either to the planning board or to us. Would he be someone who would be interesting to have him come and explain? You mentioned that there might be three options for agrivoltaic
Just
law.
what Bruce told me. That's
Right.
all.
I mean, he would be the one that could do it as part of his job, and he would have knowledge of these 3 solar laws that he could propose or suggest or offer.
Maybe we should, I don't know, what are your thoughts?
What's the timing on this? I mean, this
I-
development isn't tied to this, it would be
No.
future development, so.
That's
So
water.
we're not, there's no urgency.
There's no urgency.
Okay.
And my first thought is to kind of leave it in the hands of the committees, either the ag committee or the planning board.
Okay.
But I think it's a great idea to get in for that. That'd be great. Yeah, okay. Well, if there's nothing else, leave it at that. We'll adjourn the meeting. Is that okay? Motion to adjourn,
Second.
seconded by Tim. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned.